intro bit.
Traffic lights up, that's cool.
Microphones are going on now.
Hello to our second live stream and our second podcast. We are focusing today. We've got David here from Datto. Thank you for joining us.
No worries.
We are going to be focusing on Office 365 and protection with Office 365, particularly around the files and folders that are stored in there. We've worked with Datto for quite a few years now, so I thought it would be quite good to get them on as a guest to our show. And I'll just I guess we'll hand a bit over to David and perhaps just give us a quick overview of kind of protection we're looking at today and that whole thing, really.
Yeah, no worries. Just a little bit about who Datto are. We've been around since 2007, so we are in our 12th year of business. The entire business is built around business continuity and disaster recovery. That's pretty much all that we do. There are a few peripheral products, but it's all about backing up your data in a very safe way, and we've been doing that for years now. So the other thing to probably note about Datto is that we are our model is a sort of direct model to managed service providers only. So we really kind of probably 80% of the solution. The other 20% of the solution is the managed service provider that will add their part onto the all up solution. So if you want the product, it's only available through somebody like Tekkers.
Yeah, perfect. And so I guess the focus of this one is 365 particularly because most of our customers, a good 90% of our customers are using 365 for their email systems. More so recently, they're moving on to things like the SharePoint, OneDrive, all of those kind of things. And so it's just trying to get the focus that the fact that it's not backed up, and it's quite a common misconception, I think. And we always say, in terms of the email security side of things, we always went in and said Office 365 is very, very good, but there are some better email security products out there to do, focus on the email security. And I think that's definitely the same story around the backup side of things, because 365, it's got some things built into it, but the solution we're here to talk today is that you need to make sure you have a different product to do the backups, because it doesn't. So 365 doesn't back up your data. It backs up. There's a certain period of time that it can back up for, like retention settings.
No, you're absolutely right. So I think the thing that you've noted about your own customers as things stand at the moment is pretty much what we see in the industry all up. So we're seeing a massive shift now to customers going for Office 365. I guess there's an expectation from those customers that whoever they're using in terms of those applications which are running through the cloud, it's all backed up, it's all protected. However, really, when you think about Office 365, which is at its heart a set of applications, Microsoft are really only responsible for the hardware failures, any software failures, a natural disaster that may occur on their part, and even things like power outages. So their sort of whole essence around the product is to make sure it's as highly available as it can possibly be. And usually they're in the high 4.9s in terms of availability.
Yeah.
What we offer is something that comes off the back of that, which is it gives protection over and above the 30 days which Microsoft will offer.
Yeah.
And really what we're thinking about is how do we protect the data from any harm that can come from perhaps misuse or users making a mistake and actually deleting a file or a folder in error. There can be some malicious intent sometimes. So that sort of disgruntled employee that wants to sort of make a name for himself.
Much?
It happens. It does happen. Yeah. And you'll certainly find it a lot where you may have somebody that hasn't been happy for a while and is planning to make a bit of a name for themselves before they leave. And this is a great way of kind of of almost getting your own back, if you like, on the organisation that you feel has wronged you.
I've seen quite a few horror stories of obviously you see all the social media posts of people that have left the company and they've gone to like the network rack and just like taken a pair of scissors and like just chopped all the network cables off.
Yeah, I mean
that's a very extreme case of it. But
no, I mean if you think about it, I mean if a lot of the end users that we go and visit, and we've got appliances there that back up more holistically than just the Office 365 applications. And you can see the racks there, all the cables are there. I mean, it's pretty easy for anyone to cause a bit of carnage. If they were slightly disgruntled. So to actually just go into a sort of a folder architecture and start to delete users and start to delete content, contacts, calendars, all sorts of things. And you can imagine the kind of disruption that you can cause by deletion of accounts.
And I guess it's that moment. So so when people do go in and do that, because we've had, when staff leave is probably a key example, that people will probably go through and start cleaning out their inbox. They're like, oh, I don't want to leave that there for other people to see or anything, and they'll do it over a period of time, so maybe a month or two. If they know they're going to go in 6 months' time, then they'll start kind of tidying up. And I guess with the 365 built-in protection, it's fine for I'm on my last day or my last week. I'm going to just wipe everything and select all, delete, and it's done. But it's more the over time periodic stuff that you're going, actually no, I'm just going to start kind of taking things away. And there won't be a backup of that at all, because it's all going to be, once it's 30 days, isn't it? I think the 365
correct
backup. So once it's 30 days, it's effectively Microsoft World's gone. They've got the resilience, so you can fail over. And yes, if they've got an outage, they'll fail over to a different data center, a different location. But once it's gone past that 30 days, that's the key issue, is that it's not backed up. And that is something I think quite a lot of people miss when they're signing up to 365, in that it's not backed up. Everyone thinks, it's Microsoft and I can raise a ticket with them and they'll restore it if there is a real issue. They can't. They literally it's not on their system after 30 days.
Well, I think the more likely thing that will happen is that they're gonna phone you, Pete, and ask you to kind of sort it out. So I guess from our point of view and from yours, it's massively important that there's a backup in place. And what we offer is essentially an infinite backup against all of the accounts that are kind of backed up. So if a user leaves the business, I guess from a kind of cost point of view, you won't want to be paying Microsoft for a user that's moved on from the business, but you might still want to back up that data. So there's all sorts of compliance and regulation that means that many industries require data to be backed up. Now, to your point that you just made about users that may decide to, over a period of time, start to delete data, then we offer a sort of a sequential backup of that data. So it's not just a kind of backup that's made on an ad hoc basis when you decide to kind of press a button and back up. It's continuously backed up. And I think that's a really important point to make when you're thinking about sort of the reasons why you might want this. And the big thing we've not mentioned, which is not the elephant in the room potentially, but they also, this protects against ransomware attacks. So many of the listeners and people that might watch this retrospectively will have probably heard about ransomware, and a big part of our sort of go-to-market, if you like, in terms of what we're all about, is about protecting against ransomware. And part of the whole sort of selling points around SaaS protection, as we call it, or it's really Office 365 protection, is all about how to protect against ransomware. And I think that is something that we see more and more of. I mean, there's almost daily articles in the press now about people who've been impacted by it.
Generally, as soon as it seems to hit the BBC, we start getting phone calls about people that are worried about it. Until it seems to hit the BBC, no one seems to care that much.
Well, no, and it's I think there's a misconception that it tends to be it's well-known household brands that get hit by someone who's trying to make a name for themselves. But it's a lot more random than that. And wherever someone sees a sequence or a weakness, because they're sending out kind of almost also notifications trying to find a weakness in some network somewhere. So there's no kind of selection criteria in terms of who gets hit. It's just where there's a weakness. So it can hit anybody, I guess, is the thing to know about this.
There were some massive ones that we were chatting before this one about the Walter Sclure one. That's was it last week? Must have been last week, the week before, I think. And it was literally, it started on Monday. Yeah, it was on Bank Holiday Monday. So it started on Monday, and then it just went offline. And then I think we saw, I think I went onto Reddit and there was people posting about it. And they still hadn't made an announcement. Tuesday, they made an announcement of, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. And that was it. and then Wednesday or Thursday, I think they actually announced that yes, we've got an issue, we're resolving it, we're investigating it, blah blah blah. We're trying our best. And then Friday, and things started to just come up on Friday, but that's an entire multi-billion, multinational, worldwide, global company that's been down for a whole week.
Well, that's it. I mean, we talk a lot about this to our partners, and the response to a situation like this is quite an interesting one, because the deal is, do you pay a ransom or do you not pay a ransom? That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will naturally resist, and they'll probably be told by the local police constabulary not to pay the ransom. But the reality is, what does that really mean for your business? If you refuse to pay, it's highly unlikely that they're going to sort of decrypt the environment. And if you think about the cost, if you think about the fact that none of your workers can do anything, I mean, everybody's highly reliant on applications running through a PC right now. So it means that your workers can't do anything. It potentially means that suppliers can't deliver anything. It means you can't ship anything. It means people can't order anything. And the reality
particularly
is,
with email systems, because
exactly,
365 is core
so
for
reliant
email
on
products.
everything.
Yeah.
So the question is, how long are you going to be prepared to wait before you actually do something about it? So I guess part of the message around 365 protection is that it gives you that added extra protection against ransomware, and it means that you've got some peace of mind. In fact, that it will be picked up by somebody like Tekkers that can actually kind of be proactive and look out for this kind of thing taking place.
So in terms of so the products that we use ourselves and we obviously sell through you guys is the 365 protection software. It effectively sits on the back end of Office 365 or Microsoft's platform and backs up the data. Just out of interest, in terms of, so say you needed to restore something from yesterday or last week, or from a mailbox point of view, including the OneDrive and SharePoint, do you know, is there a rough kind of idea of how quickly that happens and how quickly can you restore from? The company gets ransomware, you need to restore. Like how does that happen? How's that process work?
It can be done pretty quick. So I guess we'd like to think that, again, thinking about yourselves, you'd be looking out for this stuff, and you'll quickly be made aware of a problem. So let's say there is a genuine mistake that's been made, and actually a file has been deleted in error. That's what we're there for. We're there to sort of try and find that file quickly and bring it back, and it can be a matter of minutes. So it's stored. We have a huge private cloud. So I think we've got over 600 petabytes of data in that cloud right now, which is a massive amount of data. But it's a fully private cloud.
And when you say private, that's so it's not sat on Microsoft 365.
No,
it's not sat on Microsoft Azure or AWS.
Well, no,
because that's quite important. That if the Microsoft platform went down,
exactly,
it's going to be sat on the same platform.
It wouldn't make sense to have it on the same platform. So our platform is independent of that. The other thing to probably note is that we're only sort of purpose built for backup and business continuity and disaster recovery. So that's what we're there to do. So we've got all of the highest levels of compliance in terms of all of the sort of security protocols that are out there by various different governments around the world, and we've got a whole host of security measures in place. But that's what our cloud is there for. It's not hosting all manner of different applications and software, and it's not got any other users in there. It's there to back up data. That's it.
And so just worth touching on, because Microsoft, obviously there are lots of customers with Microsoft 365. We asked a question earlier, but they don't offer anything, I believe, to my knowledge, that allows you to back up the data with. Obviously, you can go to the likes of Microsoft Azure and try and get some services that tie in and allow you to kind of do some form of backups. But there's not like a bolt-on you can get for 365 that's like the backup bolt-on. They just don't seem to offer one.
Not that I'm aware. I mean, we do a couple of other products. So we've got a product that backs up Office 365, which we've been talking about today. We do backup endpoints. So if any of the listeners out there have maybe they've got some sort of executives in the business who are prone to storing things on their own laptop and not backing it up.
I think,
So we do an endpoint backup product, which is very useful, and we also do a product called Workplace, which allows users to back up files in a sort of central repository. So that's quite a useful product as well to kind of take data off laptops
Yeah.
and put it into a more centralized place where people can have different levels of access, and all of those combine quite well with Office 365 in terms of being able to back up the various different applications. And I guess one of the things that we should just sort of note as well around what we actually back up in terms of the applications is we've talked a lot about email. Email's kind of a de facto thing that we back up.
Yeah.
We back up contacts, we back up the calendar, which we mentioned slightly before, but we also back up SharePoint and OneDrive.
Good.
So that's increasingly, SharePoint is becoming a
lots of people
more
are now
highly
moving
used
to
thing.
it. It's been quite for us with 365 deployments. Email's always been the first focus because that was one of the first products they got into 365. SharePoint, OneDrive, I think only now are just coming to kind of maturity because the OneDrive client used to be horrendous in terms of the sync. You'd have it syncing all your files and folders, and then it would just break every other day. So you just, from a business point of view, we had to rip it out in quite a few customers because it just didn't work. That's now been fixed. Literally within the last couple of years or so, we've got quite a few customers that are now using OneDrive as their primary personal storage, and SharePoint as the company data is now moving off of the local server and into SharePoint Online, which is really, really nice. And with their Microsoft 365 product, which again I feel is only just coming to maturity, probably about nowish, it lets you drop the local server, so it's literally getting to the point where we are moving everything to the cloud. So it's kind of a bit of a turning point, and it's just with our stuff we do, it's always 365 is the core side of things, because like you say, it's the email data, it's the actual data, it's the stuff that you build your business off the back of, that you must have protected, and people just don't think about it all the time. They just, you sign up for a cloud service, that's always, by default it's backed up.
Yeah. No, in fact, you make a good point, because one thing we've not mentioned is that you'll have a lot of folders with individuals' data on, but actually we also back up shared mailboxes as well. So it's worth noting that we do back up that as well.
And I'm sure you know this, but I don't. And so when a user leaves the company, how does that work with the Datto, the SaaS, the 365 protection products? Do you still pay for that license? Does that get rolled in some? So with 365, a user leaves the company. Check your head. Tell me if I don't know if you know the answer, but so with a user leaves the company in Office 365, you just convert them to a shared mailbox. It's a free license, but you still get to retain their email history because it's just a free mailbox. I don't know how that works in the.
No, well, we can move them to a shared mailbox structure,
right? Okay,
but it depends how the customer wants to do it. I mean,
but I guess you'd pay for that license for the folder.
If it was kept as the individual account, then we would continue
cancel
to
the
charge
mailbox
for that.
And things. Yeah, gotcha.
But I suppose
when it's a shared mailbox, is that still a paid for shared mailbox?
Shared mailbox wouldn't be chargeable.
Right. Okay. So it kind of mirrors the 365 kind of shared mailbox is free and bundled within. Correct. A user's mailbox is a paid for, fully licensed mailbox. Yep. Cool. Okay, that's good to know. Just going back to just briefly touching again on the ransomware protection. Could you just give us a bit of an understanding of how that works exactly? Because I'm assuming on your systems there's something constantly scanning through for the files and folders that have got the files. How does that work? How does that notify us and the customers that something's happened? A bit of information just about that?
Yeah, so it's just I don't know the technical ins and outs of it, unfortunately, but
more the process.
The process by which it happens is that we are continuously scanning for things which look irregular, shall we say, and the signs of ransomware can be quite apparent. I guess for a lot of people who might be listening to this, one thing they may not know is that the ransomware could have been sat there for months before it actually does anything. Yeah, and that's a really important point. So by the time someone notices, it could have been there for months, and it could have been destroying things and embedding itself around the business, and not just your business. It could be infecting other people's businesses that have a relationship with yourself as well. So think about your suppliers, some of your customers. It could be spreading. So depending on the quality of their ransomware detection. Yeah. So what we do is very, very proactive. Again, thinking about the way that we sell this product, and in this instance we'll sell it through Tekkers, you would get the notification that there's something wrong. And I guess for you then it's more a case of investigating to make sure that that thing that happened is normal.
We've been fairly good. I'd like to say we're fairly lucky, but I think it's more the way we've run things than anything else. That we haven't had any big major, business affecting ransomware issues. since we started the business. I think really we've had it happens. Ransomware still gets through. We've got customers with all of the protection in place, email filtering, web filtering, all the backups and stuff in place. The key thing there being backups, because we have been able to always restore from the backup side of things. But it's a case of making sure that the permissions are set to minimum restrictions, so that if someone does happen to download something that's malicious and has ransomware within it, they click on the email, that it can only get as far as it should be allowed to, so that don't give everyone full access to everything for a start.
Yep.
Lots of it's just about how you structure the data and just make sure.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's what I was
properly.
going to say to you, that it's about preparation as well. So
Yeah.
Being proactive with these kind of things is really key. I mean, the fact that you're kind of getting a notification that there's some ransomware or could be some ransomware knocking around. I mean, that's why we always say it's really important to work with a managed service provider that's got a lot of credibility, because they'll be doing that proactive work. It won't be a reactive service, and
it's not just, you've got ransomware, you should go do something.
Because by that time it's too late.
Yeah.
So that's when it kind of starts to cost you a lot of money to address.
Yeah.
So the proactive nature, and we kind of say, whatever you may be thinking about in terms of costs, it quadruple it to begin with in terms of what it's going to cost you to actually pay a ransom to get back online.
It's horrendous though, isn't it? Because with the it's like insurance. You don't have to pay for it. You don't want to have to pay for like a backup product or anything that's basically you don't want to pay for stuff that you're not going to use or not going to ever need. But when you actually need to use it, you'll realise you wish you paid for the gold standard, the platinum level, and the highest one you can get it back quickly as fast as you can. But it's quite a difficult decision and discussion we sometimes have. And particularly with the Datto solution, it's not an expensive solution for the Office 365 protection, but it's still that extra. It's one of these things with all cloud products. It's per person per month. Lots of small pounds per person per month can add up to quite a few pounds per person per month. And it's just trying to stop the whole kind of and add on that. And it's it's always been. I always feel bad going back to somebody and say, actually no, now we need to look at this product. That's going to be it's another £2. Oh, and there's also this product we're looking at, and that's going to be another £3 we're looking at, and it just adds up. But it's always it's very, very important to make sure that decision's made, and we're very clear that if you do not have this, then there is something you need to worry about here. There's a risk on your network that if something happens, we just haven't got access and the data to be able to recover from it.
Yep.
Really, really funnily and interesting. We've had a few of them, of course. I'm sure every IT company and probably every company out there has probably had some form of malware or virus and things over the years. And there was a few instances where we've taken over from other providers, and they've basically they've cleaned the network up, so they've had the infection, they've cleaned it up, but haven't figured out where it's come from or what's happened to it. And it's and then they literally made no fixes beyond there. They clean up the ransomware, and people have just done nothing about it afterwards. And the core thing, get your backups in place. If you've recovered from something, then you need to make sure those backups are still good. But also there's things like even something as simple as you look at the infected files, literally go right-click properties, who last modified the file. It'll tell you straight away who's got the ransomware infection because it'll have their name against it sometimes. Yep. And it's just simple things like that lots of people just don't know about and don't see. But the main thing for us is if you, it's kind of going a bit off topic, but once you get a ransomware infection, then of course you want to clean up from it, but you need to take some steps after that to make sure, or at least try and patch the holes that you might find in your systems, because you'll only ever find those holes once you've after you've had them, and you realise, it's got in through email. Let's revisit our email protection.
Well, we are going slightly off tangent, but that's again is why it's so important to use a really good managed service provider who can be very proactive in terms of making sure that everything's up to date, all the security patches have been done, and they've got the right kind of tool set to be able to do that. Because you're right, if something happens and you kind of, we've caught it and we've fixed it, and then perhaps people just think, job done. But actually there should be some lessons that get learned from it in terms of, what was someone doing wrong? Is someone downloaded the wrong thing? Is someone, it's usually human error that
very much so.
It.
Yeah.
Probably, the high
staff training
is down to, somebody's made a mistake, misinterpreted something, not looked at it properly. And I know lots of businesses provide this kind of training so that their users understand what to look out for. But when everyone's really busy, and it's very difficult to kind of be that stringent on a day-to-day basis when you're trying to meet deadlines and so on. So I think again, I would definitely say you're working with the right kind of provider to make sure that they're there to kind of, I suppose, do a full audit afterwards to understand that everything's done, everything's up to date,
Stuff's actually been taken to fix it, and
you've got
make sure it doesn't happen
the
again.
latest operating systems on there, the latest updates, patches, all of that kind of stuff is definitely worth investing a bit of time and effort into, for sure.
Question around where data is, where it's physically located, because lots of people, we still get it, whole GDPR thing and everything is where data is sat. Whereabouts are your data centers, and can you choose where it's located? How does that work?
So not with Office 365, we can't choose. So we do a number of other backup products where you can actually choose a location. So we've got 9 data centers around the world. Cool. We've got UK based data centers. So with some of our products that back up all of your applications and workloads that run through your on-prem and your off-prem servers, we can choose.
Is one of those in Haven't still? Oh, I'm sure
no, we've got one in Slough.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the nearest one to here.
Yeah.
So it's something we're looking at the moment with 365.
Cool.
But with some of the other products, then you can choose
choose
a location, but you can also choose a secondary location as well. So for anyone that's very
really
security
cautious.
Conscious, then we can send it off to Munich, we can send it off to Iceland if someone likes, and we can put it to a different location.
And so with the 365 data, where is that currently sat? Where does that go?
So that's in the UK.
Okay.
Because obviously a lot of customers are keen to know where it sits.
Where it goes,
so it is sat in the UK to meet with a lot of kind of regulations that people are having to comply with.
Yeah, particularly we get it a lot with financial and legal, because they're the people that focus most on their very regulated as well, so they have to kind of meet the regulators' requirements and things in there. Brilliant. Okay. We got any I don't know if we've got any people watching or asking any questions or anything.
We've got 5 people on Instagram.
5 people. Hello, people on Instagram.
Yeah. The only question we had, someone came in late and wanted to know who the guest speaker was, and I was trying to.
You're trying to reply back.
But then Matt stepped in and did it on his.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I don't know if I've got any more questions really. Just anything you guys might think of to ask.
I don't know if I wasn't prepared for that.
Is there any other questions you got at all? I don't know.
Well,
We've worked
think
together
the
for a while.
other thing we were going to say is that we're going to follow this one up with another session. So we're going to talk about sort of our main line of products, which will back up more holistically for data that still sits on premise or sits in the cloud. So we'll talk about them, and we'll have another guest speaker that will do that. But no, I guess for me, just to kind of go back to where we started from at the start of the conversation, was that we are sort of we're committed to the kind of way that we sell these products. So they're all sold through managed service providers, and we're quite selective about who sells the products as well. So we heavily vet them. They're very highly technically accredited in terms of being able to offer the support. So for anyone that's kind of sat thinking, oh my God, they've scared the hell out of me about ransomware and what might happen, sort of if I'm affected, then we only work with people that would really know how to handle that. But the whole point of this is that we're actually proactive, and we find out about things and we identify things before they happen, because that's really the key to all of this.
Definitely. I always hate when a customer has to phone us to tell us that they've got a problem, or like ransomware. The fact they've had to phone us, I always feel so bad. I wish our system should be picking that up before it happens. We phone them and say, we've noticed, and we've had it quite a few occasions. You notice that the backup's failed or something along those lines, and you phone them and say, we've just noticed this happened. You don't need to do anything. We're dealing with it, but it's just communicating with them, because that's particularly when you have a ransomware issue that it's has a massive impact on the business. But to know someone's there dealing with it is probably the biggest game changer from working with a decent, hopefully like ourselves, a decent MSP.
No, I think we've got the obviously we work with hundreds of different service providers in the UK, and we like to think that everybody that we work with is incredibly proactive in terms of as you say, spotting things before they happen, and making sure that, you know, somebody doesn't make a phone call and say, what's this weird thing happening on a machine, or nothing works, we're locked out, what's going on? And that's really the sort of the basis around our business, is that we allow people like Tekkers to be very, very proactive, and to spot things and hopefully fix a problem before it becomes a problem for any of your customers. That's really what it's all about.
So just worth mentioning, where we're probably coming up to wrapping this up fairly soon. We've got a bit of a bloggy type post page created on our website, just like a landing page for people that are interested in getting more information on the Datto product, and basically who perhaps do have 365 already, but are probably a bit concerned about the fact it's not backed up in the first place. So if people are interested and they want to get in touch with us to talk about it more, if you just go to info.tekkersit.com /Datto, so info.tekkersit.com /Datto. There's just a form on there you can fill in, and then probably myself or one of our team here will give people a call back to discuss people's needs further, really. But yeah, probably, I guess in summary, from my point of view, it's if you are using Office 365, your data is not backed up by default unless you're doing something else for it. And Datto is one of the products out there, the Datto SaaS Protection, which is kind of their name for it, can back up your data. It backs up all of your SharePoint data, your OneDrive, and of course all your email data, making sure it's kind of all wrapped up in a backup product. And that's the key things, really. If you're using 365 and you've got your, as most people do, they live out their inboxes, but it's not being backed up, I don't know what I'd do if I lost my entire email history. You know, I search in it every day for stuff that I need. So if you are using 365 and don't have any backup in place for it, you might be thinking, yep, I've got a backup in place for my servers and everything else is backed up. But if you're using Microsoft Office 365, you know, if you're on a Exchange Online Plan 1 or a Business Premium, if you're on Office 365 for your email platform as well as OneDrive and SharePoint, it's not backed up. So just to make sure that you've got something in place. So like I say, it's info.tekkersit.com /Datto, and let us know if you want to talk about it, really. Probably about it. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. That's probably it for today. Not quite sure when the next one's going to be. We're just about to talk with David about when we're going to book his next chap in. And I'm on holiday for the next 2 weeks, so I'm probably going to be AWOL for a while. And we'll likely be back in the first week of June with our next show, unless I can coerce some people into being on camera and podcasting things from here. So yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for listening and watching and live streaming and all of that stuff, and catch up with you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Done. 35 minutes. That's not too bad.
So,
I just didn't want to stretch it out. It's kind of like, do we go for an hour? And it's just going to stretch out for too long.
I don't know, maybe we have more people asking questions. Or
Yeah.